I've heard people off the record make the comment that Oprah was just another mammy, because she's in there on that show talking and to all those white women, and she's just taking care of everybody and making them happy. And I've heard that. But a lot of people admire her for her leadership and for what she's done. Look at what she's doing in Africa. I think she's doing great work. Unfortunately, I never developed the habit of watching her show because I'm always at school. But I will catch the tail end of a show every now and then. I'm more Judge Judy, but I hate to admit it. But okay. You see her as a careerist?
Yeah,
okay. All right.
With all apologies, she's that man.
Okay.
Doesn't love her man. Well,
she says she does.
Yeah.
Let's look at the careerist again.
15 years.
Okay, successful, career-oriented, independent. Notice that even with the modern day people I interviewed 5 to 10 years ago, nothing on there is about beauty. I hadn't thought about that, but they don't say anything about, they just say independent, career-oriented, successful, and it probably has something to do with if I go back and match the numbers with the photos, it could be that the women I was showing were not the ones who looked a certain way. Yeah.
It seemed in the previous categorizations, you had two with the mammy and the matriarch that had kind of a strong mothering capacity, whether it was mothering their own children and their own family.
The mammy is for the, yeah.
Other children. Where does that fit within the new, the mothering, nurturing kind of woman within the new categories? Where do you see that fit?
It hasn't shown up in what I've done so far.
The leader, maybe?
I went too far.
Now you're in trouble.
I'm in trouble? Okay. I didn't see a lot of that. I just saw successful and happy, and what was that? I'll do it manually. Go back down.
Maybe the leader.
The careerist, you had the success, you had the careerist and the leader, and
okay.
Is there something in the leader that implied nurturing? Not the charmer.
Okay, I'm going to try this again. That's the careerist. Independent career. The charmer, no. The upstanding woman.
Place where that belongs. Or, I mean, I just wonder
okay.
or in this process of this, is it looking at more of looking at figures that are either in the media or in entertainment, and looking at those figures are now being portrayed and being defined by either media or entertainment, either news media or entertainment media, and the role of the mother, the role of the nurturer is not necessarily, that seems to have been dropped, maybe because people felt that it tended to reinforce the mammy and matriarch images, and maybe there's I don't know if it's a conscientious effort to try and shift and say, black women are they're powerful, they're leaders, they are careers, or in the sense that they can have careers and that kind of thing. Has it shifted so far in that direction that part of a woman's role with the family or within a home is not being portrayed or not being discussed?
That could be part of it. And I'm pretty sure I showed some photos of women with children. It just didn't come out as much, and but I don't know. Yeah.
So would you say, Lillie, that you had mentioned some of the new labels that you have, and yet you had mentioned that a number of these still kind of overlap with the old taxonomy. Does this kind of represent a transition in people's mind, or are these really kind of brand new kind of ways in which they see African American women? I mean, is this kind of in transition, or do you think we've now made a complete shift?
I think, or maybe I want to believe that we see some of the old negative stuff, but they're just different ways of naming it. Keep in mind, my professor, she was pro, that we need something else. She just couldn't get over the picture of all my photos of these fair-skinned black women hanging on to these guys. And I'm saying they got the guys because they look like they are white people, and the guys, are color-struck. But she just saw it as sexism. So she was really pro. There's some different terms to name these people. I think you still see, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I think you still see some of the negative stuff, like with the example with the charmer, sexy, skinny, happy, and attractive. And I remember this was I had one of my photos was this provocative photo of Felicia Rashad and Jasmine Guy dancing. They had on some, well, those party dresses, and I can see why they would say that. But notice that when the women looked at that, they didn't use derogatory terms. Somebody asked me yesterday, well, did you let men participate in the study? I said, no, you don't do that when you're looking at photos. I mean, when I was picking my photos and trying to come up with my way of to train my coders, I would let them look at photos, but it was crazy. They look at the photo and talk and say stuff like, man, I could be in Martha's Vineyard with this lady. And that wasn't what I was looking for. I was trying to get ways of things to help me, people to help me pick out things that would help my coders know how to code my photos for another part of my study. So,
Were your coders both black and white women?
yeah, I had.
Did you notice any differences in how the black and white women, were there differences in how they responded?
Yes, as a matter of fact, that's the reason why Esther and I wanted to go to the next level and let an independent group of women look at the photos to see if my coders, if there was some validity to what my coders were seeing. Because, yeah, they were looking at the photos a little differently. Their numbers, they were coding the photos a little differently. So we found out that when I gave it to a group that had none of the training, they were doing something similar also. And then when I went back to work at Arkansas State, she said, now just go back and show your photos to somebody back home. So I did that back home. And I continued to see that there were some differences. So, yes.
The other image I've seen written about recently is, they call it a stereotype, is the black best friend.
Okay.
Do you know that image, or have you seen that?
Tell me about it. I've heard the term.
No, it's in a lot of movies. And it's usually a female. Somebody, it's like to make sure that everybody's covered. Somebody has a black best friend, and they don't really do anything. But
I'm going to say like token white dude on the back.
yeah, it's like a token. Yeah, it's token white.
Okay.
And the other one that is it's not new. It's just I was never familiar with the Black Madonna image in the Secret Life of Bees.
Okay.
And I was not familiar with the history of the Black Madonna image, et cetera, and it was a very powerful scene in that movie. Are you familiar with that movie?
No, I'm not. I've heard of Black Madonna, but it dealt with something else.
That movie, and I think that I'm trying to remember who played the matriarch. It was Queen Latifah.
Okay.
Yeah, Queen Latifah. So that would be something to look at, and I think she falls in line. She was a beekeeper, and she had her sisters. Were all part of the family, and she's a very was in the South. And so that would be an image that you should go look at that probably falls in line with one of these new ones.
Say that again now. What is it called?
I'm saying
okay.
that image of her, I'm not sure which category it would go in, but these characters in The Secret Life of Bees would definitely fall into one of your new frame.
So that's, I guess I should have mentioned also, the photos we looked at were from news only. These were no entertainment photos. These were not advertising photos, because our thinking was that you're going to get the real deal in news photos, whereas in advertising you can stage it, entertainment, it's scripted, but in news, when you shoot a photo of somebody, that's the real thing. So, and
I was thinking that Disney made this new leap with the Princess Frog, and how there was this very powerful young black woman, but hardworking from meager means. You know.
Well, and I thought was interesting about the Princess, what's it called?
Is it Princess Frog? Or
Prince? You know, is that there's that based in New Orleans, it's in the South, and that could have a lot of kind of triggers in a story like that towards the old images.
Yeah.
And so they're able to do that kind of in a minefield of old images and come up with new images. I think both that. And anyway, so Secret Life of Bees is something you should.
Secret Life of Bees. Okay.
So the welfare mother's not really appearing in the news media. You didn't see a lot of that particular image then, as much as maybe we would suspect. News stories still being maybe showing because the picture that you had showed previously was from a news event. It showed the mother with her children, kind of this stereotype of the welfare mother. Is that image not appearing as prominent now as compared to the images of your other